Hi, this is Laura from LiveVisions.com, and this video is dedicated to everything Pisces. Whether you have your Pisces Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Pisces, this video is for you. If you don't know where your planetary placements are, I know on my website that birth chart calculator thing is a little bit messed up. It keeps going on the fritz. So if you want to go to astro.com, ASTRO.com, and look at your planetary placements, and this will help you decipher which video to watch, okay? Because even though if you could be a Pisces Sun, your Moon, your Venus, your Mars could be in different planets, and this is going to give you more information about you and the partners you attract, okay? So, okay, Pisces, you are a water sign, okay? You are ruled by Neptune, the planet Neptune, and you're the most compassionate sign in the zodiac, okay? You are very adaptable, and that's because you're a mutable sign, okay? And so you can be very changing, which is good because if something is wrong, you're more apt to say, oh, okay, I'd like to fix that, you know? But it can, on the negative side, it can lead to indecisiveness. So maybe sometimes it's hard for you to make a decision. Now, you guys can be extremely spiritual and really creative. You guys can be really like the creative types of the zodiac where it comes to music, art, you name it. And some of you guys are into interior design, things like this, and very creative sign. You could be very devoted and imaginative. Oh, Pisces totally rules imagination because it's the natural ruler of the 12th house. So you may get really great ideas when you're sleeping or daydreaming. Pisces is known to daydream, and the sign of Pisces, whether you're a Pisces sign or ascendant sign, is known to sleep more than the average person because the 12th house rules the subconscious. The sign of Pisces is comfortable. Like even as children, you may not have had issues taking a nap, such as like an Aries child may have, okay? So this is more, I want to say, a very imaginative sign. It's a very psychic sign, actually. This rules clairvoyance. Pisces, the sign itself, rules clairvoyance. And through the sleep state, probably, and subconscious, you could get messages or even ideas that could be very ingenious creatively for you, okay? Sometimes Pisces is known to be oversensitive. It is a water sign. All the water signs are very sensitive, like Pisces is one, Cancer, and then Scorpio is another. These signs can be really sensitive and a lot of times overly hypersensitive, and because Pisces is one of the signs that feels so deeply for others. They're so compassionate, and when things in the world are so nasty and mean and cruel, they really feel these at a gut level because they say the sign of Pisces is the closest to God. And these people feel, which is why a lot of times Pisces people tend to be, they love to help people, they want to give, and sometimes they find this world so hurtful, though, that they want to tune out of life. On the negative side, some Pisces can go to drugs and alcohol, and because they just want to go someplace else to escape, you know, the negativity of the world or whatever's going on at the time, okay? So they can be known to have escapist kind of behavior. Now, some people say Pisces can be lazy, and I wouldn't call it that because, okay, they do need no more sleep than the average person. Their energy, I want to say they do get messages through dreams too, and their subconscious is huge. So, you know, are they the sign to get up and go and get things started? No. So they're the more lax sign, I would say. I wouldn't necessarily call them lazy because I think for each and every sign there's a purpose, you know. And for you guys, the subconscious, you could have messages perhaps to be super creative types, you know, perhaps to be ingenious types, you know, creatively. The best place to go when you're feeling like you want to escape life or it's really tough and things are just so hurtful in the world or whatever's going on in your life is creativity and spirituality. So the best place to go is whatever your creative niche is, whether it's music, it's art, it's design, whatever it is, or even go to church. You know, it's a great place for Pisces to go to rejuvenate themselves, to feel better, okay? So, and they say that wherever you have Pisces in your chart, whatever house it rules is where you serve or suffer. meaning that this is a house in which you're going to have to be compassionate, perhaps to yourself or others, depending on what house it's in. Like for me, myself, it is in the house of relationships. So this means that like through my life, you know, I would always have to, there could always be issues with relationships in which I'm going to have to give or be helpful to another person for whatever they're going through to help them through it. So let me just give this bit of advice. If you have Pisces ruling any of your relationship houses, such as your 7th, your 5th of dating, your 7th of marriage, your 1st house of self, okay? It's really important for you to understand and realize that you're going to have to be of service to other people and have a compassionate heart to another person who's going through a tough time, okay? This does not mean that you allow someone to take your kindness for weakness and you be railroaded, though. So this means that you need to make sure that that person, with your help, is also helping themselves, not in a negative way, though. Like, you need to make sure that the relationship is reciprocated. In other words, as much as you lift them and they're leaning on you, that you can also lean on them and have them lift you when you need it. Because sometimes if Pisces energy could be so compassionate, this could be when, you know, sometimes it's not reciprocated and it's an imbalance in the relationship, okay? So depending on where you have this in your chart, you need to make sure that it's an equal relationship, especially if it's, like I said, Pisces are ruling the 5th, 7th, or your 1st house of self. You can be overly compassionate for someone and want to help them, but those who they don't want to help themselves, you can't fix somebody, save somebody. And Pisces and also the sign of Virgo tend to do this, okay? Virgo especially, I want to say they tend to really do this. Pisces, if you yourself, like I said, are going through a tough time, going through drugs and alcohol, is not going to be helpful to you at all in any house that you have your Pisces sun in, okay? So anyway, you just want to make sure that the relationships are balanced with, especially if you have Pisces ruling those relationship houses. Okay. So, all right, so let's go on. So if you have a Pisces moon, and whether you're male or female, this tells you about your mother. Your mom could have been very compassionate, very sensitive type of person, very devoted. Your mother could have been very imaginative. On the negative side, mom could have wanted to tune out of life. Maybe life was a little painful. Maybe she wanted to tune out of life. So, you know, there could be addictions where mom is concerned. I'm just saying, okay? But mom could have, maybe there wasn't, and maybe mom was just a very loving, creative, spiritual person. That could be it too. So there's a positive octave of this Pisces moon, and there's a very negative octave of the Pisces moon, okay? So either mom had substance abuse problems, or mom, you know, she could have been creative and had both, you know, or mom could have been the spiritual, pleasant, creative type of person who was very imaginative and compassionate toward other people and loving, and who had a big, huge heart. You know, that could be it too. But in Pisces, in a person's chart, whether you're man or woman, you know, shows how you handle your emotions, okay? And Pisces is a very tough sign emotionally, because some people, this is one of the signs where they feel life can be very hurtful and mean. And, you know, like I said, this is a sign that's connected more to the other side, to, you know, and so they say this is the sign that's closest to God. And they find that when these ungodly things are happening on earth, they don't want to be here, you know. So some of these people maybe, you know, go to depression or go to drugs and alcohol and things like this. So you have to make sure that you're using your Pisces moon in a positive way. My first thing I would say is, because Pisces moon is very psychic and intuitive, you guys can walk in a room and soak up all that energy, whether it's positive or negative. So if you guys have negative people in your life, you need to cut them out like cancer, because that would be so bad for your energy, because you would soak that in emotionally, whatever's going on. So let's say you always are in a situation where you're living with someone who's constantly fighting with their spouse or something. This is not an environment for a Pisces moon person, because they soak that energy up and they feel so, you know, wounded by this hate hate kind of energy and mean and, you know, nastiness. So Pisces Moon, even when things aren't, you guys are pretty much clairvoyant. So when things aren't being said, you kind of know what's going on. And you can just soak up that energy. And you don't want to soak it up because then it's like something that you're carrying around with you as well. So you want to, my first thing advice is to surround yourself with really positive, uplifting people. And maybe get activated in your church, whatever your spiritual belief is. Get really active in your church and maybe do something creative because you guys are really, something creative is going to take you out of that negative zone and that negative place and that maybe depressive feeling that you may be going through. So you want to go to maybe spirituality or creativity to avoid any kind of wanting to use any kind of substances to escape or going to depression or something like this, you know. So that creativity and spirituality sort of get you out of that funk. So that's just something to help you out. Now, those of you men, Pisces Moon will show you the type of woman you marry. And this would be a woman who's very sensitive, who's very, very compassionate. This person could be very romantic too. Pisces rules romance, you know. So emotionally, all you guys can be very romantic people. But it's when negativity gets in your life that really messes it up. So if you stay away from negativity, you're all good. Now, for you men who have Pisces Moon, you may marry a woman who's very romantic, sensitive, compassionate, creative, big time. But you have to make sure because the wife can also be oversensitive and perhaps wanting to escape life. You know, you have to be careful of addiction with the future wife. She could be indecisive sometimes, and I will say, although she's an adaptable type of person, but she may be a little bit indecisive at times too. For the most part, though, she's compassionate, spiritual, creative, imaginative, devoted, and very romantic. So that's a nice thing. So those of you who have Mercury, so let's say if your Mercury is in Pisces, okay? Mercury is the way you communicate. And Mercury is very debilitated in Pisces. It's not in its home because Mercury's happiest is in Virgo and in Gemini, right? So opposite of Virgo is Pisces, so it's in its opposing sign. So Mercury is kind of in detriment here. So those of you who have Mercury in Pisces, and I also have my Mercury in Pisces, so you guys can be extremely creative mentally. You guys can have great imagination. This is like the woman who wrote the Harry Potter book, you know. These are people who love romance movies because they get lost in it, you know. These are people who love, like, you know, they're in love with love. You know, these are people who could be in love with romance, in love with beauty, and these people could be really creative mentally, you know, great creative mind, big time. But where they lack is sometimes these people have to be very careful of contracts and have a lawyer look them over because Mercury in Pisces is debilitated. So you may miss something that somebody with a more analytical eye may see, like somebody who has their Mercury in Virgo, let's say, you know, is a very detail-oriented, analytical type of person, okay? Because you're more of an imaginative thinker, you're more of a creative thinker, you're more of a romantic thinker, okay? Contracts may not be your best friend. You may have, especially if you're in like a business partnership or something like this and you're running a business, it would be best you probably handle the creative aspect of things, the imaginative aspect of things, and maybe the paperwork kind of thing, and maybe you have somebody else handle for you, you know. But these people could be very creative, very imaginative, and in communication, they're very compassionate with another person, with how they're feeling and what's going on with them. These people would be great at like therapy or something, because these people are really good at talking to the other person in a compassionate way, which will make that person feel comfortable about whatever situation is going on. So, and they're very sensitive too. One thing about Mercury in Pisces, it is a water sign. So if you're dating somebody who is like, let's say Mercury in Virgo, or like somebody or Mercury in Sag, something like this, who's very direct, or maybe even Mercury in Aries, and doesn't think before they say things, and can be very blunt and maybe even sometimes hurtful. Any kind of, if you have your Mercury in a water sign or Pisces, Cancer, a little bit Scorpio too, but Scorpio is a more tougher water sign. But these people could be very wounded and hurt by things that are said verbally, because usually these people are hypersensitive over things that they say. They're always trying to be compassionate about how they come across to another person to not hurt that person. So when somebody's coming off very viciously or combative towards you, or very aggressive, this could be very hurtful to the Mercury and Pisces type of person. So just keep that in mind when you're dating, different styles of communicating with a partnership, because this can really help or hinder a relationship. And if you're with someone who does have a different sign, it helps to understand that sign to maybe be more compassionate toward the partner that you're dating, okay? And or maybe explain to them how you are so they can be more compassionate when communicating to you. But for the most part, Mercury type of people are imaginative, creative, and I will say great and compassionate when speaking to other people, okay? So let's go now to Mars. So if you have your Mars in Pisces, okay, this is another, this is a sign that their energy is very creative. Their energy is very compassionate, they could be intuitive type of person. They can be oversensitive, indecisive. Now, if your Mars is in Pisces, it is kind of a lazier type of sign, meaning that you're not going to have the type of energy like an Aries would, that just like a cardinal sign, just going in and taking action, or like a fire sign would, These people could be rather take their time with things, or I don't know, and these people especially may need more sleep, may feel like need to recharge their energies through sleep big time, so they may need more hours. Also, this person may get messages through the subconscious as well. But Mars and Pisces type of person, this is somebody who could be very creative, very like maybe a painter or an artist, or somebody who's just your energy as a person is very creative, let's put it that way, and very compassionate for other people. You have a lot of compassion for others. So in a woman's chart, if her Mars is in Pisces, this is the type of guy she's looking for. She wants a sensitive guy. She's looking for a guy who's creative, sensitive, compassionate, devoted, imaginative. He could be oversensitive. He could be a little lazy on the negative side. He could be indecisive. He could be an escapist, where he wants to kind of tune out of life because of, using drugs and alcohol, so she has to be careful of that. But for the most part, this is the, Mars in Pisces. It's kind of like the hippie kind of person, like a, creative. Oh, she's really interested in romance too. If a woman has her Mars in Pisces, she wants a very romantic type of person, very much so. And spiritual person too. He could be very spiritual. She may really like him if he's imaginative, he's spiritual, he's creative, he's compassionate, and he has a real sensitive side to himself, Now, if you're a man and you have your Mars in Pisces, Mars in Pisces is how you flirt, okay? So you're going to show this compassionate side of yourself. You're going to show that you're very sensitive. You're going to show a very devoted, spiritual, creative side of yourself. You may show that you're overly sensitive at times, and you may even show, you don't want to show you're an escapist, that you want to tune out of life and you want to do the drugs and alcohol, because you're going to get the wrong type of girl, to be honest with you. But you could use that and show that in your energy, But you could also be the most romantic guy ever. With Mars and Pisces, this guy is all about romance. He's going to totally try to sweep you off your feet and romance you, okay? So, ladies, if you're dating a guy with Mars and Pisces, they could sweep you off your feet and romance you and be compassionate, say all the right things. And because he is so sensitive, he's really good at probably tuning into how a woman is. This is kind of a clairvoyant sign, Pisces, It could be very sensitive, and which appeals to your sense of sensitivity, but you need to be careful, because over time he could show a different side of himself, who wants to escape life into drugs and alcohol and things like that. So you need to just watch out for that. Okay, so let's go to Venus. Now, if you're, guys, if you have Venus in Pisces, You're looking for a woman who's very creative, very compassionate, imaginative, very romantic. You're in love with this woman who's in love with love. You want a woman who's devoted. You also want a woman who's, you know, she could be extremely sensitive, like crying at movies and things like this. She could be, I want to say, adaptable. Like if you say, oh, you know, you really need, you realize you do this or whatever, she may be open enough to say, oh, I didn't realize I did that. Well, maybe I'll try fixing that or changing that about myself. So she's not going to be so stubborn as to not want to change, but it can also lead to a little bit of indecision in her. Okay, so she could be a little bit indecisive. But for the most part, romantic, a person who loves love, very compassionate, creative, and very spiritual. Okay? This could even be somebody who's a little bit psychic, you know, clairvoyant in her own way. Now, if you're ladies who have your Venus in Pisces, you know, you're going to show through flirting that you are romantic. You know, you're going to do probably all the little things before your guy gets home to show that you're a romantic type of person. You know, maybe you're going to show that you love the chick flicks. You love the Lifetime channel. You may show a sensitive side to yourself. You may not be afraid to cry openly. You may not be afraid to show this compassionate, caring side. You know, you may show that the things in the world really hurt you and that, you know, you try to do your best to give in the world, you know, and maybe you might show that things are, like when somebody goes through an injustice or something, maybe it really affects you, you know, and because you're more sensitive. You may show a very spiritual, creative side of yourself. You may show, I want to say, your dreaminess. You know, you're the type of person who, the way you flirt, you may actually decorate the whole house and make some romantic, you know, beautiful dinner and make this such a romantic setting for your spouse or your boyfriend or whoever it is that you're with. So your whole thing is romance, and your whole thing is being compassionate and caring and loving, you know, and embracing that person, okay? But on the negative side, you also can show your escapist side where you can't deal with life, things are so bad, and you want to go to drugs and alcohol and things like this, and you kind of don't want to do that, you know, because you want to attract a person who is like you, so you're not wanting to attract that back. You want a healthy relationship, so that's that. Now, if you have your Venus in Pisces, male or female, it shows you ways in which you may bring in money into your life, okay? So you could be a doctor, marine related, okay? So this could be chemicals, anything with chemicals, oil, painters, you can work in hospitals, because this is or prison, because the 12th, Pisces is the ruler of the 12th house. 12th house does rule hospitals and prisons. But also anything creative, like an interior designer, or you could be great at music. You can make money through music, through paint, through decorating, through design, you know, or anything. Pisces also rules chemicals, so a lot of pharmacists have this. A lot of people who deal with, even people in forensics could have this too. Any kind of person who deals with any kind of, forensics would be more Scorpio, going in or finding answers. But a lot of pharmacists tend to have this. Psychologists may have Pisces here too, because they're dealing with, you know, medicine, okay? So anything creative, anything having to do with medical, sometimes hospitals and prisons too, would be Pisces Venus, okay? So if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you would like a video, recorded video or a reading from me, I do live readings on an emergency basis, okay? But I will put a link onto this video, so you could, if you wanted to book a reading, you can. And I hope this video was helpful to you to understand exactly Pisces and what it means, and depending on what sign you have, okay? And by the way, those of you who have 8th house Pisces, 8th house is a house of sexuality, deep intimacy, okay? People who have Pisces ruling the 8th house, okay, want a relationship that is, oh, these are people who really are in love with love, you know? So if you have your 8th house cusp ruled by Pisces, you're really wanting a lot of romance in the relationship, a lot of sensitivity. the act of lovemaking itself is not done in a very harsh way. It would be done in a very gentle way, okay? These people would be very much, into the creative aspects of making it a beautiful experience, you know what I'm saying? And these people would be very compassionate to their partner as well, you know, very wanting to be very giving and compassionate to their partner, you know, and they would be sensitive, ultra sensitive to their partner's needs. So 8th house cusp Pisces is very, I want to say, a very romantic, very, in a way, intuitive sign to have this for intimacy, okay? And so if you have a partner who has 8th house ruled by Pisces, this person may be interested in the romance movies, Lifetime Channel, anything romantic like flowers, candy, rose petals, and decorating the house and making it all nice. They would appreciate all of this. And again, this wouldn't be, the style of intimacy would not be an aggressiveness. It would be a sensitive way of expressing love. Okay? So I hope this helps you. And if you like, shared, and enjoyed this video, please share. I will talk to you soon.